Oh, yeah. Gentlemen, welcome. Kidding. Gentlemen, I'm not kidding. I'll tell you about that in a second. Welcome back to Tiege Hanley, Starting Business, Building a Brand Vlog. This one, big number, 283. So a few things, little housekeeping before I get into this. Number one, I'm building a new house because I'm not busy enough. Number two, I've got a hard stop in like 25 minutes because I have to interview a very special guest for the Alpha M podcast. His name is Max Tuning. A lot of you guys have probably heard of him. He is an incredibly huge YouTuber doing some really cool things down in Texas. I'm going to be interviewing him. And in case you didn't know, I do have a podcast called the Alpha M Podcast. We have a channel on YouTube. Also, we upload the episodes over on like iTunes and all the different platforms like Spotify and stuff like that. Anyway, if you are interested in checking this out, it is all pretty much like entrepreneurship focused. The people that I interviewed typically are business owners and entrepreneurs, and it's an opportunity for me to sort of dive in a little bit deeper and hear their stories and how they did what they did and ask them, questions. So it's definitely business focused. So if you're interested, guys, the Alpha M Podcast, search it or we will link it down below. I also want to get to some of your business questions because there are a lot of them. Speaking of business questions, if you have a business question down below, start it with business question and ask your question. Doesn't matter what it's about. Next week, I will try to dive in and answer a few more that I don't get to today. But what I want to start with is something exciting that I'm kind of excited about, and that is I started designing a new house. As you have probably seen, I've done a few house tour videos before. I used to own a loft in this same building as my office that my wife and I lived in a few years ago. We hated it so much that I bought a lot and built a house. I enjoyed that so much, or the process of building a house so much, I knew pretty much immediately that I wanted to do it again. And so 2 months after I moved into that last house, or the first house that I built, I bought a big lot, like kind of very, very close to my current house, with the idea that, you know what, someday I'm gonna wanna build another house. And so now that the salon is done, that's kind of out of the way, and I've also done some other, like I did another, like I bought my, I'm not like humble bragging, I'm just letting you know, like I like this process. I bought my mom a house and I renovated it, added an addition, gutted it, and it was fun. And so I just like houses, I like building, I like that whole process of picking things and changing things up, and so I decided, you know what? If I want to do it, I'm going to do it. Everybody that I tell will think I'm crazy, but it doesn't matter because you can't take money with you. And if it makes you happy, gentlemen, I say do it. And this is one of those things where I love doing it. It also, and this is a weird little thing, but building houses and this whole like thing that I do with real estate, it makes me feel closer to my grandfather, who has passed away. And he was my biggest, like one of my biggest inspirations and my heroes is my grandfather, Frank Cassoni, and he was a builder. And so I used to go over every weekend to his house and help him because he had cancer and his body wasn't the way that it used to be. And so I would go over when I was younger and help him every weekend and sort of talk to him, and he would sit there while I worked for him. And so anyway, that was a big part of my life, and during the time that I very much needed it, he was there. And so this is a weird way of me to kind of I feel close to him when I do this. And so that's not a reason to build a house, but it is definitely something I enjoy doing. The other thing that I just want to let you know and why I sort of can wrap my brain around, because my wife, not excited about it. She's on board now, but it took some negotiation on my part in order to get her to agree to this, because she's like, you're insane. I love my house. And I love my house, and I'm going to sell it, and I'm going to make some money on it, because real estate in the Marietta area that I live is like just like crazy. And so I'm going to sell it literally like super quick, make some money, roll it into the new house, and so I'm excited. But you have to know this about me. What I love doing is being home. I am a homebody. I love being here. I love riding my bike in my little city. I love walking around. I love my town. I love my house. That is the #1 thing that I enjoy doing, right? I don't like vacationing. I don't want a beach house. I don't want anything. I want to love my home, and I do love my home, but this is a way for me to do it again and love it a little bit more, because there are some things I would change. I want a pool. Anyway, a big thing is going to be my workout room. I have almost like a wing that I'm going to be doing. That's like in the basement. That's going to have like a badass gym. And that is something that I can't wait for. I've always like wanted, I have a little gym now, but I want it to be like a little bit better and bigger. And so it's little things like that that I just am excited to do. I'm working with a new architect, which is like next level, very different scenario than my last architect, who's doing some different things, some super cool things in Atlanta. I think it's gonna be beautiful. I know it's gonna be beautiful, and I will definitely keep you updated. It's gonna be a long time though. This year, here's the plan. This year, design. Next year, start the building process. Because right now, if you guys are looking at building a house, like the construction costs are boom, like crazy high because of COVID. Nobody can get lumber, nobody can get, things, and like even like my electrician, I had to have the electrician come over to the salon to basically run new electricity. And I said, are the higher prices hitting you and in turn hitting me as well? He goes, oh yeah. And I'm like, why? He's like, the rubber that goes around the wire is like crazy expensive, nobody can get it. And so the cost to build a house right now is super high. And so by just waiting, pulling back a little bit, letting everything settle down, it will come down, hopefully, and then I can sort of embark on the process. But I definitely plan on bringing you, I guess, see, do I? Is that interesting? Do you guys like real estate stuff? If so, drop one of these, and if not, I won't. But the bottom line, I'm excited, and I had the first meeting with the architect, and it's looking awesome, awesome. And I'm excited. I like doing this stuff, so it's a way that I choose to spend my money. And so if I want to do it, I'm going to do it. And yeah, so I'm excited. I just want to tell you that. Now what I'm excited about is getting to some of your amazing business questions. The first business comes from, let's try that again. The first business question comes from our friend Mark Brown. It's one of those days where I tried to film, I didn't try, I tried and I succeeded. I tried to film a video today for Dollar Shave Club. It should have taken me literally like 45 minutes. It took me like 2 hours because I just kept stumbling over my words. Anyway, Mark Brown has a question. He says, Aaron, will Tiege Hanley be making a Tiege Hanley body lotion and or a body wash? I love to see both, but a Tiege Hanley moisturizing body lotion or balm would be amazing, as we wouldn't have to buy body lotion elsewhere. No kidding. I think that would be amazing in a level 4 kit. So here's the deal. Yes, Tiege Hanley is doing all this stuff. We are currently creating a moisturizing body bar, which is incredible. All right, we've got two bars right now. We've got the scrub body bar, which is like super, it's black and it's super like exfoliating. We've got the wash body bar, which does have an exfoliant in there, not as dramatic as the scrub bar, but then we also wanted a moisturizing wash body bar without any type of exfoliant in there. And I got the sample, and it is unbelievable. It is so, like, it's my new soap, right? It leaves your skin feeling so incredibly soft and supple. It's incredible. And the other answer to your question is yes, we plan on developing a body lotion. Actually, it's been developed. We're in the process of figuring out how to, get the packaging and all that good stuff. The other thing that is even further along in the development process is our body wash. We have Tiege Hanley body wash, a few different, scents that are going to be hitting the market soon. And we're going to be doing I think a pre-launch or something where we're going to be selling small samples or giving away samples of all the scents for you guys to try them. And so that is in process. And I think we're doing that for our 5-year anniversary, which is coming up. Which brings me to another question. Shane Melcha has an incredible question. He says, if you could travel back in time to day one of your startup of Tiege Hanley and in 15 minutes with your former self to communicate any lessons you'd acquire with the intention of saving yourself mistakes and heartache, what would you tell yourself? So the first thing I would tell myself is that it's going to be harder than you think it's going to be. It's also going to take longer to get where you want to be. This is something where Rob, Kelly, and myself were a little bit naive in the beginning. We're like, oh, we're going to be here in 5 years, right? And we are coming up on the 5-year anniversary of Tiege Hanley, which is pretty mind-blowing. But, it's taken longer. It's been harder. And the thing that's interesting is that when we started, it was like a rocket ship. And so we kind of got a little bit spoiled because it was so easy in the beginning to grow. But as you grow in terms of a subscription business, you always are going to have churn, people that are leaving. And so when you're churning out, say it's 10%. If you've got 1,000 people and you're churning out 10% a month, right? That's 10%. 100 people. 100 people are leaving. So you've got to refill that 100 people in order to, not only get that base back, but then, you have to add additional in order to grow. But as that subscriber base grows, thousands and tens of thousands of people, you still have that churn, right? Maybe it's 5%, 6%, whatever it is, but that number is a lot bigger, right? 10% of 100,000, right, is 10,000 people that you need to just replenish that are churning out before you ever start to grow again. And so in the beginning, it was really easy for us to grow. I mean, we launched day one, 1,000 members, just from you guys from the email list. 1,000 people subscribed. We were like, yo, we're off to the races. First year, crushed it, millions of dollars. Second year, multiplied it, millions of dollars. Like, we were crushing it. But then, year 3, we started to slow down. And we were like, whoa, what's going on? And so, the other thing I would tell myself is you got to do a better job at actually looking and analyzing, traffic and spend and all that, because, you just got to know where you're spending the money, and you got to know how you're acquiring people and how much it is, really impacting, or how much you're actually having to pay to acquire that customer. The other thing, I would go back in time, spend more resources keeping people happy, as opposed to just trying to acquire new people. And that was one of the big lessons that we learned at Tiege Hanley. It was more about a retention play than it was about just the acquisition of new people. People churn in, people come in, like just trying to fill up that top funnel. Instead of focusing just on filling up that top funnel and like letting it just all sort of happen and people churn out the way that they were, we realized like 3 years into it, you know what? Maybe instead of that, we need to spend more time, more resources in keeping people and making Tiege Hanley the product and the company that they want. Giving people what they want when they want it. And that is something that we have been working on pretty much like consistently for the past few years. Our retention has gotten a lot better. Our churn has been drastically reduced. And we are on the brink of launching a really super customizable experience for Tiege Hanley, because we know, I mean, we have hundreds of thousands of people that have tried Tiege Hanley that are not customers currently. And we feel like it is in part our responsibility, and the reason why they're not customers is because they loved our products, but they didn't love something about the way that we were making them actually consume the products or use the products. And so we know that by doing that, we're gonna be helping, get some of those people back and really having a dramatic impact on the bottom line and the customer base, and we're super excited about that. So that's something else that we wish we knew sooner. In terms of anything else, what else? I mean, there are lots of lessons. Don't sell a fishy PM moisturizer. For those of you who've been around for a long time, you'll remember the fishy moisturizer situation. Oh my God, that was a scary, hard scenario and situation, but we figured that out. And the backstory real quick is that the PM moisturizer, people were using it and saying, wait a second, something smells fishy. We're like, fishy? So we go to the lab, and we have like thousands of subscribers at that point that are getting this PM moisturizer. Turns out it wasn't bad, but the marine collagen that we were using in the PM moisturizer had some, like the batch that we got had some like really like pungent like fishy odor, and nobody got it. It wasn't like crazy like bad, like you didn't like just walk by somebody and be like, oh my God, but it was apparent. And so dealing with that cluster F was a challenge, but we got through it. And so, I guess the other thing I would tell myself at the beginning of this is just make it about the customers. It's always about the customers. If you do, you won't lose. But when you take your eye off the ball or off the prize of the customer, then you're in for a rough, like bumpy road. But great question. I gotta run, but I got time for one more from our friend. Where are my glasses? His name is Lawrence Lamb. He says, when you ask software developers to build your website, do you care if they use the latest technology to get the job done? So this is a great question. So one of the reasons why I feel like it's important to hire a developer that actually is current on some of the technologies, because technology changes like super fast. Things that were, the cutting edge, latest and greatest like 5 years ago are outdated now. And if you are not, or if you are building a website on a platform that is not going to work or play well with some of the modern technology, a lot of the plugins and things of that nature, you could be in for kind of a rough ride, or you're gonna have to do a lot of customization in terms of coding. But that being said, there are some pretty basic platforms out there that don't require, a whole lot of fuss. General WordPress websites are pretty easy. They've been around for, a long time, and they're constantly having updates. But it really depends on what functionality your website is going to have to perform. And so if you're doing a store, like an e-commerce store, I would highly recommend you develop it on something like a Magento, if it's a real bit. So Magento is a whole nother animal. Don't listen to me with Magento. Magento, that's what I built I Am Alpha M on, and it was like crazy. Magento is like what all these big like retailers like Macy's and Zappos, they all use the Magento platform. It is crazy, like intricate and in-depth and really complex. Something that is easier but awesome is Shopify. I am a huge fan of Shopify. Tiege Hanley, Shopify. Pete and Pedro, Shopify. Enemy, Shopify. The new company that I'm about to put rockin' and rollin', Shopify. I'll tell you about that later. Anyway, yeah, so Shopify is another incredible platform. And so I would just say that you got to talk to him and make sure that he is current enough, because a lot of the things, a lot of the nuance to a website are sort of the additions or the plugins. You're going to get basic functionality out of the box from like a Shopify, but then what you want that store to do, whether or not you're going to be doing subscriptions or you're going to be doing this. Like native Shopify doesn't come with a crazy ton of things that you can do. You've got to add like apps and additional things to it. And sometimes Shopify can't do, even with some of the plugins and apps, can't do what we wanted it to do. And so we actually had to go custom with Tiege Hanley. We're also at a point in our business that customization and creating a custom thing was very important to us. And so we have a great tech team now that we are really proud of, that is just kicking ass and getting things done. And Jay, he is the head of our tech. He is just absolutely a rock star. So big shout out to Jay. I haven't talked about you in a while, Jay. But you are amazing, and thank you so much for spearheading the Tiege Hanley tech team. Guys, that's where I'm going to wrap things up. Thank you so much for being here. We love you more than our double monk strap shoes, and I got to go talk to Max Tuning about how Max Tuning did what Max Tuning did, which is build multiple brands and be an entrepreneur and all sorts of sexy, successful stuff. Guys, if you want to check out the Alpha M podcast, we're going to link it down below. Other than that, we love you more than our double monk strap shoes, and I'll see you next week.